Buenos dias. I'm currently in a new area of Goa. Hey, well done to me for finally escaping Powell. And hey, how are you? Good. So now I'm in Panjim or Panjim. It's got all these colourful buildings, colourful people, and it's called Fontainhas. It's the old Latin quarter here in Panjim, which is actually the capital city of Goa. So as you can see when you're walking around, the colours are so vibrant and striking. Like these greens, there's yellows, like all these pastel colours. There's a lot of personality here. But unfortunately, much to my dismay, and I hate to say it as well, as someone who takes photos, but it's full of Instagrammers. I like taking photos of real life. I'm not so much into the whole posing for photos, and that's really prevalent around here. Kind of like you're ducking and diving and dodging and weaving. But nonetheless, we're gonna have a wander around. We're gonna explore. I'll take you with me on the streets here and kind of give you a little taste of what it's like to be in Fontainhas in Panjim, Goa. Goa was a Portuguese colony right up until the 1960s. It was never ceded to India at the same time that the British ceded India in 1947. It remained as a Portuguese colony until the early 60s, when basically India came in, the military came in, pushed the Portuguese out, and they ceded it. And so, for hundreds of years, Portugal's influence was felt here in Goa. This is where I'm heading first. And this is the Church of Immaculate Conception. I love these tiered steps leading up. So I've just realised as you come up, the actual steps are blocked. Got rope on both sides saying no entry. So the furthest you can go up is this point, and now I'm feeling very much in the way. Everyone's taking photos, so I'm going to get out that way. But yeah, from what I can see, a little glimpse of it. Gorgeous church. So Panjim is obviously on the coast, but the coastal area is a few kilometers away. So if you were coming specifically for the beach, you might be quite disappointed to find that you're a way away from it. Now, would that be the responsibility of the hotel? Or is that your responsibility as the guest making the reservation? So some of these reviews are like, 1 star, the hotel is not near the beach. Or 1 star, they didn't give me drinking water, but there was water in the room. It's like a minefield trying to read through them and figure out what's genuinely a good and what's genuinely a bad review. Anyway, so I went straight down the middle. I booked a hostel, which is not normally my thing. It was called the White Balcão, and actually it was quite nice. It cost me £9 for the night for a dorm bed, and it was okay. I did actually try to extend it this morning, but they were fully booked. Because again, I wasn't able to extend, I had to navigate that minefield of reviews and the places that were available. I booked a place, I checked in. I'm not going to name and shame it, but I don't recommend it. I got into the place, the check-in was a disaster. They took me to the room and it stunk of cigarettes. And in 2 of the beds were guys, which at what is now 12:30 in the afternoon, and they were smoking and drinking. So the guy came in and he was like, you know, basically telling them to stop it. What on earth they were doing in the bed at 12:30 in the afternoon, smoking and drinking, I don't know. Well, fortunately for me, I only booked this place for 1 night, and then tomorrow I'll head onwards and perhaps go to Salem or Anjuna, or maybe back up to Arambol for a couple of nights. I'm going to enjoy the last few days here in Goa, and then we're going to go north. You had obviously the British colonisation of India, but Goa remained in Portuguese hands. And so with such a vast influence across this part of the world, I kind of wondered why Goa remained as part of Portugal and wasn't taken by the British. Portuguese influence here was very strong. Perhaps people here were even considered themselves in some way Portuguese, at least by way of culture. And so for the British to come in and take over, that may have been very difficult to control a population. There's the first assumption. The second one, which is probably more accurate, is that at the time the Portuguese were ruling here, they'd already waned as a superpower. And at that point, there was more influence and more of a threat here from the likes of the French and the Dutch. And so perhaps the British kept, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. So perhaps they kept the Portuguese in here rather than, taking resources, manpower from other areas so that they could keep it out of the hands of the French and the Dutch. Right, I'm kind of just wondering at the minute. Latino splendor. So even in the more modern buildings, like these are certainly not very old, but they've still got that kind of tiered effect with the steps, so they're still taking influence from that old architectural style. It seems to be that most of the people that are coming here for photos, the Instagrammers, they all tend to congregate in very, very small areas. So there are a few particular spots that are highlighted on Google Maps, and it seems to be that when people are researching and whatever, they basically come down to those particular spots. So these are not the more popular areas. As we work our way down in a minute, we'll start to see more of that Latin style, more of the old Goa. But you can walk around certainly mostly free from the crowds. I certainly noticed last night I went to a bar called Joseph's. I kind of just stumbled across it by accident, and then as I had a quick look on Google, it seems to be fairly famous actually in this area. It's also fairly famous as an Instagram spot, because I was trying to enjoy my beer, just sat on the road at the front, and just droves and droves and droves of people coming to take pictures. I mean, like, I get it, but it was pretty relentless. So for a little while it was quite hard to just relax and turn off and enjoy my beer. It's a real shame though that this building's going into disrepair. I remember being in Panjim in Nepal, kind of in the Kathmandu Valley. I have a video of it on the channel, you can go back and see if you're interested. But very similar in the sense of they had all these old Nawari buildings, and as the economy went bad there, like a very long time ago, the availability of money to maintain and restore these buildings just disappeared. You're walking through and the place is fascinating, but you see a lot of like this, a lot of like weathering, and unfortunately the buildings degrading. And then you have obviously the much bigger problem is that as they degrade more and more and more, the amount of restoration and thus money that they need becomes substantially more. So buildings like that one that we've just seen there, I'm not sure how they come back without help from the government perhaps, or the local council. For an individual to come in and invest their money into that becomes very, very difficult, to be honest. Have to be a passion project. To be honest with you, I would much rather see the buildings like this than to be gone. Take for instance my own town in England. There's a lot of complaints from people that the old heritage is disappearing. We have a lot of these buildings. Again, they become very expensive to repair. And I would imagine there's something similar here, that when you want to repair them, you have to do so abiding by a particular style, so it fits in with the area. For those buildings in England, for a lot of them, it tends to be this habit that they just get left, and they owners, whoever they are, they just leave them and leave them and leave them for years, sat empty, degrading. Water begins to get into the roof, and the buildings eventually become condemned and they have to be pulled down. There also seems to be a bit of a habit of buildings spontaneously combusting and randomly burning down just at the point where, oh, this said new owner wants to build something. You know, very convenient. Hey, what are you digging? Wow. What is this for? 4 pipes? For the sewers, for the drains. There are signs for this all over the place. Sewerage works, trying to make Panjim a smart city. Now, how sewers constitutes smart city, I'm not entirely sure. Logic would say that that just makes it a functioning city, a normal city. But I have seen and heard a lot of complaints from people that the roads are being dug up in places, the tarmac removed, not really being repaired properly. I could taste that. Hey. Not drank anywhere nearly enough water today. I'm starting to really pour with sweat. And the problem that I've got is I don't have any small change on me. I got money out from the ATM yesterday, and it all came by the way of 500s. So I just tried to go to the shop to get a drink, and the lady didn't have any change, so I couldn't buy anything. So right now I'm in the situation of absolutely drenching everywhere with sweat and not being able to get a drink to rehydrate. I may have to go somewhere in a minute where I can use my card. No photos here. What is the reason? They just don't like. Okay. Well, no photos inside that building. I kind of understand it, to be honest with you. They don't want this. It was wild when I was walking around here yesterday. Like, just the numbers of them. It's crazy. You've got groups of like 20 people, like all together. Yeah, so these people would all be together in big groups and be basically taking turns to all do the same pose in the same spot. So I don't know how that works between a group of friends where you all end up with exactly the same photo. Is it like whoever poses best gets to keep it? I have no idea, but the amount of people that were here yesterday was just quite astonishing, really. I am perhaps the world's most awkward poser for photos. I love taking photos, but actually being in them, I'm pretty dreadful. I get so uncomfortable, so robotic. I just don't know where to like position my body, put my hands. My smile gets really awkward. Yeah, so kudos to those that do and can do it. Certainly for me, I'm not one of those people. I just don't have that ability. So I was just chatting with a local guy there then. The conversation and the topic was about tourists. Wow, right down my ear. He said 20 years ago, the only way that you could get here from other parts of India was by bus. And so a lot of Indians were tired and didn't want to make that journey. So he said, really, you didn't have really any Indian tourists here at all. It was mainly just a few foreigners, and that was it. The roads were quiet. So what he's saying now is that you've got people coming from all over India. They come here to holiday and to visit, but he said it's becoming a bit of a nuisance. This is an old city. The lanes are very narrow. You see how like small everything is. And so parking, for instance, is at a premium. And he said many times he'll have tourists come and they park their cars like in the most indiscriminate places, like without any particular logic or consideration of the people that live here. He himself was a cab driver, and he's saying he's forever getting cars parked on his driveway. So for him, it's a big problem. And second to that, and it was literally happening as we were speaking, he mentioned that just before Christmas, everyone around here painted all their walls. Well, they paint the walls once a year. And he pointed to a spot on the wall, and you could literally see where the footprints were. And he's saying it's so annoying. You know, we come, we paint the walls, we keep everything like nice and tidy, and then these people come in and then just put their feet all over my house. They're constantly outside my house taking pictures. He said they're bad-mannered, his words, not mine. And so I think for people in this area, there are certainly frictions with the volume of tourists. One thing he mentioned as well was that there are starting to be tensions, or there have been for a few years, but because of religion. Can I get through here? Yeah. In this area, it's a lot of Catholics, obviously, back from the Portuguese times. But in India at the minute, there seems to be this air, this atmosphere, and I've mentioned this before because I was told this in Hyderabad as well, of pro-Hinduism. And he had the sense, at least, that 500 years ago the Portuguese came here and converted everyone to Catholics. And now he feels like everyone who's not a Hindu are being pressured to convert or leave the country. I don't know how that translates in day-to-day life, but he was expressing that there's certainly a pressure. I ate some chicken shawarma off the street last night. Not literally off the street, but from a place on the street. It smelled incredible. And I went past it, smelt it, couldn't resist it, but I held out for a couple of hours whilst I was thinking about it. Thinking that if I wanted to risk my life. Because the last time I had that, I got really badly sick. Got food poisoning for 5 days. Not from this place, but the same thing. But in the end, I just couldn't resist it. And I had to go back and get some. And I got 2 wraps from there. And it was 220 rupees. And it was incredible. Right now, I would love some of that. But it's closed. So hopefully it's open back up again this evening, because I'll be making a repeat, and hopefully in about a week I don't have the repercussions of it all. It was so tasty. Coming to that time of the day now, all the Instagrammers are really starting to flurry around, as you can see on that street there, so getting a little bit tired. So I think I'm probably going to leave this here with the sight of this beautiful church. I think I'll probably go to Joseph's Bar. I can recommend that. But with that, hope you've had a nice time here in Fontainhas. Maybe I'll catch you shortly for a beer. Ciao.